Welcome, viewers, back to the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio. That is I. I would do something a little different today. Usually I have a different topic, a teaching on particular subjects on secular humanism and atheism, and letting people know how wonderful it is to leave God belief and progress into secular humanism and atheism. I started doing interviews when I go out with my buddies on Saturday or Sunday mornings. First of all, we go out and feed homeless people. And then I'll find a particular believer, usually a Christian, and I like to interview them. I use my little phone, and I like to ask Christians questions, and then kind of turn the tables on them, use a little Socratic method, educate them, let them know that what an atheist really is, and how wonderful it is to let go of mythologies and progress, and how good it is to be human. Oh, I love to be human. It's not evil, it's not bad. I don't have a sin nature. We can progress without any religions, and the world will be better. So I think you know what I stand for, but I want to try something a little different today. I'm going to go ahead and show you an interview I did with a really nice young man. His name was Mike, and you're going to see an interview here. It's about a 5-10 minute long interview, so stay tuned. After the interview, I'm going to give a little rebuttal, and we'll discuss some of the topics and points that he made when I asked him certain questions, why he needs a God, and his personal testimonies, and what led him to Jesus. So it's very entertaining to watch different believers when they come up with their reasons why they believe in God and their evidence for the existence of God. So hope you enjoy the interview, and stay tuned right after, because I'll give a little rebuttal. Hey, good morning. This is David Oliverio. I'm going to put this on YouTube. The Preaching Humanist again with another report. My friend Andrew and I are back again. We're under the bridge in downtown Austin, feeding homeless people. We have fruit, so forth. And I ran into a very friendly man here, Mike, right?
How's it going?
Good to see you. Good to meet you. So we've been having friendly dialogue. Mike, as you can tell, is a Christian. Look, he's got a cross. Very nice guy. And I'm an atheist. So we're having friendly dialogue. So I'm talking to Mike, and I explained to him some things about my past, and Mike was giving me his testimony. So Mike was telling me how he came to know Jesus and so forth. So kind of pick up where you were.
Yeah, so what I was explaining is I wasn't really a church person, wasn't churched. As I was talking to these gentlemen, these fine gentlemen this morning, just letting them know an experience that happened to me, how I came to Christ. And what happened to me, it was I was having there was an intervention going on in my life because I'd lived this crazy lifestyle. And
I'm sorry. Okay, define a crazy lifestyle.
Let's see. I was alcoholic, drugs, pornography, adulterer, a bunch of these things that are mentioned.
But some people would say, whoo, nothing wrong with that.
Hey,
nothing wrong with having sex with people or doing drugs.
Right.
But to you, it was...
Well, it was great. I was doing it.
You were good with it at the time. Okay.
Yeah, I was doing it. So,
okay.
Yeah. No. That's where I was.
But I wanted you to go to part of the story when you said you had some intervention. You felt the house was shaking.
Yeah. So I had so they were having an intervention at my house, and do you want me to look at the camera, or are we?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'm not good at this. Okay.
They were having an intervention for me because everyone was wondering. They knew some things were going on in my life. I would admit to none of these things that I was doing, of course. There was a lady there that day who was there with my brother, and
Christian brother or
no, he's another. He doesn't know Christ either.
Biological brother. Okay.
Biological brother. Yeah, my biological brother. So he was there with a friend of his, and I guess this lady was a Christian. That's the only thing I can think of. Well, come to find out, yeah, she was.
Oh, she was. Okay.
Yeah, she was. So she started to talk to me about some of the things that allegedly God was showing her when I was a kid, which I kind of openly mocked her and made fun of her.
What were the things that she was showing you?
Things about when I was a child, how, I was, I left alone and didn't have a good dad, role model, things that a lot of people would say that would say,
Sure.
that's a lot of people probably suffer from that.
Sure.
It was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool what she said.
Yeah.
But I made fun of her. And she said that she was going to go into another room and pray for me.
Okay.
So she went into another room, and I when she was in the other room, I was laughing at her the whole time. She came out 5 minutes later and said, well, are you ready to let everybody know what you're doing? Because God has already showed me. So I laughed at her, mocked at her, and said, that's funny. What else? What has he been showing you? That's just hilarious. And at that moment, I had this thought in my mind that said, I'd rather die in all the stuff that I'm doing, and admit to anyone all the stuff that I'm doing, because no one knew I was living this kind of secret life. Okay. And she said, God had just showed me that you'd rather die in your sin than admit all these things that you've been doing. And right then, at that moment, as I was sharing with these two gentlemen here, the house started to shake.
So literally, did anybody? Do you have any verifiable? Nobody else could.
No one else.
Do you have a video of it or anything?
I wasn't looking
because
for
remember
it.
Saul in Acts chapter 8 or 9.
This is 91.
This is a long time.
Excuse me, 2002.
Oh, 2002.
2002. So even if there was, and if I was even thinking something miraculous like this was going to happen, I would have known.
So the house shook, and you kind of had like a Saul to Paul experience on the road to Damascus, where he saw a bright light. But
I saw a bright light, but the interesting thing about the bright light is I didn't want it to come nowhere near me. So I started screaming out, saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm on the floor, rolling around.
You're rolling on the floor.
Everyone's looking at me like I've lost my mind. I see this open vision, and this presence is coming, and I immediately have an idea that it's Jesus.
How did you know that it was Jesus?
I don't know.
Or how do you know that wasn't just your mind? Hallucination?
It could have been.
Okay.
I'm open to all that,
Okay. But you don't know for sure? Or
well, this is how I saw it, right? We're recounting how I saw it, right?
Okay.
So, I could have been on those things. But right at that moment, I knew that, or I had this idea, or I had this thought that this must be Jesus, and he's coming for me. And my whole body started to shake, like I was rattling apart. And I screamed out, please don't come to get me.
You mean
like I thought he was going to
harm you?
I thought he was going to come harm me or something.
You think that Jesus...
I didn't know anything about him.
But you, in your background, you never once heard about God, because you're in America, and surely you heard that 70% of Americans are Christians.
Yeah, I heard some stories.
So you already
I stayed away from church.
I understand. But you still understood the concept of if you're good, you love Jesus.
I don't know any stories about him. I don't know anything about that stuff. So at that moment, he's starting to come. Well, I'm thinking he's coming to get me. I lay on the ground and say, hey, get away from me. I don't want it. And my body's shaking apart like my bones are rattling. And I felt like I was going to die. So do you think you might have gone into... is it a seizure or anything? I don't know. It's nothing I've ever experienced. This is nothing I've never experienced since that time. Mm-hmm. And it just, at that point, I just had the idea came to me, or however you want to say it, that this must be who God is. And at that point, this woman came over and she started praying over me.
And what was she praying?
I'm not real clear on it, but I remember her saying things like unloose him, or unhand him, or letting go, or something. Yeah, like she's probably talking to the devil. Probably. Because I used to do that too. Yeah, she's probably talking to something. And then it all went away. And then I was there on the floor. And I asked everyone, did everybody see what happened?
And they saw you...
laying, rolling around, flopping around like
flopping
a fish
around, like in the Bible where Jesus healed the demonic person, which now we pretty much know through science is probably a seizure or some type of mental breakdown. But so you interpret this as this is Jesus revealing himself to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I took it at that time.
That's all right. This is interesting. Anyway, I'm going to come back and have a little video on this later. But thank you, Mike. It's been really nice talking to you. I like to hear and ask questions on how believers came to Jesus, because most people in America are Christians because they're born into the culture, the society, right? And those that are not would either have an experience. Now, we disagree, obviously, on the causation
we had a flip-flop.
of that. Yeah, I mean, we could debate on this one.
I was like this, and then I came here, and now he was like here, and he came there. So.
Yeah, because that was once you start. Yeah. So
That's fair, right?
It's fair.
Okay.
Yes, we did flip-flop, if you're saying, because I was once a very strong young Christian evangelist believer, and now I'm a very strong atheist. But I don't know, you never really did you denounce Jesus? Were you an atheist, or you just didn't know?
I probably didn't care. So what do you call that?
Hi, Andrew.
I would just call that, the average younger person, like a lot of people are. It's not something you think about it. You don't think about it either way, and you just. Right. So I guess people call that agnostic, but it's more of just kind of an apathy about that kind of thing. So in practice, in function, it's basically like atheism. And because atheism isn't an assertion that there is no God. Atheism is simply the lack of a belief in a God. So if you're going through your life without a belief in a God, you were basically just an atheist, I guess, without declaring so. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'm running out of juice on my phone. I don't have a recharger with me. So anyway, very nice talking to you, Mike.
Nice
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
And thanks for being nice.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen all the time.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Even though I did ask Mike here if he believes in the concept of hell, and he did learn something from me, that you are a fundamentalist Christian.
Yeah, I am. That's according to... I'm sorry?
David.
According to David, I'm a fundamentalist Christian.
Because you take 2 Timothy 3, 16, 17, all Scripture is given by inspiration of God, like I used to be.
Yeah.
So Jesus said, where the worm never dieth and the fire is not quenched, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth to those unbelievers.
Right.
So you do believe that?
I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch! And my question is, such a nice guy like Mike, how could he believe this? But that's what the book says, right? So,
amen.
Anyways, I got to go.
Can I say that?
It's okay.
All right. Cool.
Amen means true. You believe it's true.
Okay.
I don't, but that's okay. Mike's a good guy. Thank you for coming out.
Nice talking to you, man.
Nice talking to you.
Bless you, brother.
Have a wonderful day. Report back later. Bye. Welcome back, viewers, to Preaching Humanist. Here I am again. You watched the interview with my friend Mike, and you'll notice he was a very friendly, very kind person. So after listening to the interview, I went ahead and made a few notes. And again, we talked prior to the interview, as I do with believers, and also after. So basically, Mike went over, and by the way, I did ask him permission if I could put this on my channel. He said it was okay. I would never do this without asking someone. So I went ahead and talked to Mike for a while before the interview and after. But during the interview, you'll see that they had an intervention. So he had some of his friends come in a particular home, for an intervention. So he said that he was into alcoholism, drugs, and pornography. So I hear this so often from believers. There's usually 2 reasons why people are Christians. Number one, and the main reason, almost always, is they're born into Christianity. It's a cultural thing. If people were born in India, Calcutta or Mumbai, India, they would probably most likely be Hindus, worshiping one of the polytheistic deities of Hinduism. So Mike, and the second reason that people are usually believers is because of something such as what happened to Mike. They may fall into a pit of nihilism. They may be unable to find happiness in life. They may fall into alcoholism, drug abuse, pornography, and so forth. So there's usually these insecurities of life or hardships. Life is too challenging for them, and they need to find happiness. So they're willing to try and test anything. And voila, there you have religion, right? Makes you feel good. The promises in the Bible and so forth are there. So there was an intervention for my friend Mike. Remember, he was into alcoholism, drugs, and pornography. So here's what he said. He said that God showed a particular Christian lady, and in that intervention, things of his past. And the lady began to tell him, well, let me tell you what I think happened to you. You were left alone. You were abandoned. Now, first of all, that lady may have already known him. And if not, it's a 50-50 shot. It's flip of the coin. It's like a fortune teller. Many people are left alone. Normally, when someone comes from a background of alcoholism, drugs and so forth, they normally don't come from a very good upbringing. They may have had alcoholic parents. They may have had a parent that was heavily into drugs. They may have gone through child abuse, sexual child abuse, physical abuse. It's sad, but it does happen at times. So here was probably a young man that was not raised in a very good environment. So the lady made a little assertion, a 50-50 shot, flipped the coin, and said that you were left alone, Mike, and abandoned, and God showed me this. Well, chances are 50-50 shot that probably happened, because it does happen to some people. Now, here's something interesting that Mike said. His experience that led him to Jesus. He said the house started to shake. So if you notice on the interview, I asked him if was there any verifiable evidence? Do you have this on video? He said, no, of course not. Did anyone else see it? He said, no. He said he was rolling on the floor. Okay, keep that in mind. He said he saw an open vision. Now, this usually occurs to people, and you can read the Bible, the Quran, many other people that are having either psychological problems or many other problems with the mind. They see visions. So he claimed to see a vision. He said he saw Jesus coming to get me, was his words. He said he saw a bright light, and we'll get to that in a moment. We hear that quite often. I get that from Christians all the time. So he also said that his body was shaking, and he felt like his bones were rattling when he was on the ground. Immediately, I began to think about a seizure. So he said that this must be who God is. This must be who God is. So he felt that this experience that he was going through, lying on the ground, shaking, and so forth, was God trying to get his attention, drawing him to himself. Now, I'll tell you a quick little testimony. When I was about 18 or 19, I'd already been a strong Christian as a child because I was born into a pastor's home. I went through my rebellious years, 16, 17, 18 years old, back in the 70s. And I experimented with alcohol for a little bit. So I kind of ran away from home a few times, was kind of a prodigal son type teenager. And I remember one night having what I thought was a vision, and it was of hell. I saw these internal flames of what I already knew hell would look like as a believer, because you're told this all the time, reading it in the Bible, hearing it from your father, the pastor, for years and years and years. I already knew what I thought hell would look like. So in this dream, I saw these things in my mind, and I interpreted this as God trying to get my attention, as the father of the prodigal son, drawing the prodigal son back to his loving arms, right? And now I look back, of course, that was just my mind. That was a little bit too much alcohol in my brain as a very rebellious teenager before I turned back to Jesus and started preaching back in the 70s. So he made a comment, this must be who God is. So he also said that the woman started praying over me, unloose me. Now, back in my day, I remember this. I believed that when someone was in alcoholism or drug abuse or pornography, these were literal demons. This was the power of Satan controlling an individual. They needed to be set free from the power of darkness, the power of Satan, and so forth. The only way to do that is to obey the Bible. When Jesus said, loose him, set him free, he commanded the demons to come out of the demon-possessed individual and to go into a herd of swine and off the cliff to their demise, right? And all these ridiculous claims in the Bible. So we would do like the Bible said. We would rebuke Satan. We would lay hands on these people, command demons to leave in the name of Jesus. And yes, I know, it's kind of embarrassing for me to talk about this, but yeah, I was out there. I was on the edge of Christianity. And even if I run into believers today and Christians today, they tell me, man, David, you were hardcore Christian. You were all out. That's how I'm wired. So yeah, I believe that stuff. So I would pray that Jesus would loose people from the power of sin and that the demon of alcoholism would come out and so forth. So I understand what Mike was talking about. He's in this environment. he believes this stuff to be true. So he said the woman started praying over him, speaking to the devil, rebuking Satan, and saying, unloose the devil from Mike and let Mike go free. So I've been there and I've done that. And then he claims that it all went away. So he claims that after this experience, after this lady prayed and rebuked Satan and so forth, all of it went away. He was delivered from alcoholism, drugs, and pornography, and living a sinful life. So these are called anecdotal evidences, short stories or episodes, supposedly true, testimonial in nature. Now, is this overwhelming evidence? Is this verifiable evidence? Is this empirical evidence? Is it peer-reviewed evidence? Can it be demonstrated and tested? Probably not. These are just anecdotes and testimonies believers make. So it's really interesting to hear these experiences that I get from Christians all the time. So let's go over a few things about what Mike said. The first thing that came to my mind was a seizure. So I did a little study on seizures. Seizures are changes in the brain's electrical activity, neural activity, right? There are certain symptoms of a seizure. Now, this is pretty interesting. Remember what Mike said, his experience. He believes it was God. He was knocked into the power of God. The earth was shaking. It was God speaking to him, and it was God coming to get him and so forth. So, number one, symptom, violent shaking. There you have it. Violent shaking and loss of control. Another symptom of a seizure, losing consciousness, followed by confusion. Sounds like there's a very good possibility. The probability rate of it being a seizure is pretty high. I'll never know for sure. Another symptom of seizures, uncontrollable muscle spasms. He said he was lying on the floor shaking. Well, there you have it. Falling down, he fell down on the floor. Rapid eye movement, not sure about that. I wasn't there. Some causes of seizures. This is interesting. He said he was an alcoholic and drug abuse. He had drug abuse and alcoholism. Number one cause, alcohol withdrawal. Number two cause, brain infection, meningitis. Let's hope it wasn't meningitis. He was a really nice guy. Could be brain injury, a causation. How about this? Number four, drug abuse. He said he was abusing drugs. Drug withdrawal. Hopefully it's not number six, epilepsy. Hopefully not number seven, could be high blood pressure, possible. Number eight, kidney or liver failure, possible. Also, low blood glucose levels. I know I'm a personal trainer, and sometimes if I have people, my clients, that have low blood sugar or high blood sugar and so forth, it can affect the way they think, it can affect the way they move, it can affect the way they exercise and so forth. So these are all different possibilities of causation of seizures. So after listening to what Mike said, it looks like it was probably more of a natural explanation rather than a supernatural claim and explanation. He talked about a bright light. It reminds me of, in the book of Acts, chapter 9 and 10, the conversion of Saul to Paul. You remember the very high-ranking Jewish official and Pharisee Paul, or Saul, who was a Jew, who persecuted the new group of people that believed in Jesus, called Christians. And on his road to Damascus, on his way to persecute more Christians, God allegedly showed a bright light and knocked him off his horse. And he saw a bright light, and he saw a vision, and God spoke to him and changed him. He had his conversion, right, from Saul to Paul, the apostle, the second most important figure in the New Testament. And by the way, without Paul the apostle, you wouldn't even have Christianity today. Go back and listen to my previous episodes on how Paul the apostle changed the whole message of Christianity. He made it believable and plausible, and a lot of lying and twisting of the scripture too. He was good, smart guy, and without Paul, probably wouldn't have Christianity today. Damn you, Paul. Oh well, it happens. So the bright light. Stress-induced hallucinations can cause a bright light. We understand in science, people see bright lights. You hear people talking about it on their deathbed. They were dead and they came back to life and they saw a bright light. Well, also, bright light could be oxygen deprivation. It also can be unusual neurological activity. So I know medical professional. First thing that I thought about when my dear friend Mike went around and talked about his conversion story and how the Lord showed himself to him, I just thought of a seizure. So there you have it. The interesting thing that I do when I approach believers, I ask them things all the time. I like to ask them questions, and I'm going to start doing this more often to make it entertaining and informative to my fellow atheists and also to believers out there, and to encourage my fellow atheists to get out there and talk to believers, because they'll never know that you can be good and happy and have a good life without God. So thank you for watching the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio, where no God is required for a good, loving life. Have a good day.